Have you ever woken up one morning and asked yourself, the person I once trusted, the one I called a friend, a lover, or even family, why do they feel like a complete stranger now? Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship where everything slowly became distorted, where you could no longer recognize the person in front of you? If your answer is yes, then today I'm taking you on a journey that isn't for those just looking for comforting words. We're about to dive into the moment when a narcissist finally reaches their breaking point. This is when the sweet words, the perfect performances, and the subtle control they once used to manipulate you all begin to fall apart. This isn't just a minor story about personal conflicts or fleeting drama in everyday life. This is a true spiritual battle, a confrontation between truth and the illusion they've crafted to keep you under their grip. And if you've ever been a victim of narcissistic abuse, the psychological manipulation that these individuals are known for, then this video will be the light guiding you out of the darkness they've pulled you into. When a narcissist can no longer maintain their mask, 5 undeniable signs will begin to appear. These signs aren't just clues, they're warning signals that it's time to take back your life. Right now, you might be asking yourself, am I living next to someone like this and not even realizing it? Or even more frightening, have I been fooling myself into thinking they'll change? Thinking they'll become the person I once hoped they'd be? Don't take your eyes off the screen, because the answers will unfold in the next few minutes. I've been where you are, wondering if I was misunderstanding everything, questioning if I was the one to blame. But after years of observing, experiencing, and learning from others, I've come to a powerful truth. You're not crazy. They just made you feel that way to keep you under control. This video isn't just another dry psychological analysis or lecture on human behavior. It's a detailed roadmap, a practical guide to help you recognize the signs of a narcissist unraveling, to understand how they operate, and most importantly, to show you how to protect yourself and begin healing from the damage they've caused. I'm going to walk you through 5 specific, unmistakable signs that they've reached their breaking point. Each one will be explained through real stories, from my own experience, from people I've met, and from behavioral studies I've explored over time. I'll also give you clear strategies, specific steps you can start taking today to break free from the cycle they've trapped you in. This is a long journey. We'll be spending a few hours together, but I promise you, your freedom, your peace, and your right to live your truth are worth every second of it. If you're ready to face the truth, to look directly at what's really happening in your life, then do this right now. Hit that like button to mark your commitment to this journey and leave a comment below, I choose truth. Together, we'll walk through this darkness, one step at a time, starting now. Signs. 1. Paranoia and defensiveness. Imagine a normal day. You tell someone, maybe a close friend, a partner, or a colleague, that you disagree with how they handled a situation. You say it gently with good intentions, only to be met with a completely unexpected reaction. They look at you like you just declared war, like you're the biggest traitor in their life. That's the first sign a narcissist is reaching their breaking point, paranoia and defensiveness. This isn't a moment where they become stronger or more confident. This is when they begin to unravel from within, and you'll see it in the way they react to everything around them. Why do they act this way? Because their entire sense of self, from how they see themselves to how they want you to see them, is built on an unstable foundation, external validation. They don't operate from true inner worth or genuine confidence. Instead, they need you and everyone else to constantly affirm that they're special, that they're right, that they're superior. When you begin to question their behavior, when you stop playing the role of their cheerleader, when you simply start being honest about how you feel, they feel threatened, not because you're attacking them, but because your honesty becomes a mirror they can't bear to look into. It reflects back to them a truth they've been avoiding for years, that they are not invincible, not flawless, not above accountability. I once had a close friend like this. We were really tight, or at least I thought we were, until one day I told her, I think you should apologize for how you spoke to that person in yesterday's meeting. It was a small suggestion, not an accusation, just a friend giving some perspective. But her reaction? She turned to me with suspicion in her eyes and said, "You're trying to make me look bad, aren't you? You're jealous of me. You've always wanted me to fail." I was stunned. That was never my intention. But to her, anything that wasn't praise felt like an attack. That wasn't strength or confidence, it was deep insecurity, masked by blame and defensiveness. When a narcissist hits their limit, you'll see it in how they view everything through a distorted lens of suspicion. A simple phrase like, "I need some time to think," can be twisted into, "You're planning to leave me." A small action, like not replying to a message right away, suddenly becomes proof that you're pulling away on purpose. They start creating stories in their mind, imaginary scripts where you're the enemy and everyone around them is conspiring against them. But what's the truth? No one's attacking them. You're just trying to be authentic. And that alone is enough to make them feel like their entire world is falling apart. Think about it. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do simply because you stopped playing the role of their constant supporter? Maybe a friend suddenly accused you of being disloyal just because you disagreed with them. Maybe a family member called you selfish just because you set healthy boundaries to protect your time. That's how they operate when they feel control slipping away. They can't accept that you have the right to live your life on your terms, because in their mind you exist to serve their ego. And when you stop doing that, they become paranoid, not because you're wrong, but because they can't bear the thought that they're not as important as they believe themselves to be. Their defensiveness is a huge part of this sign too. They don't just become suspicious, they build a wall to protect themselves from any truth that might shake the image they've crafted. If you say, "I feel hurt by the way you treated me," they don't listen to understand. They snap back with, "I didn't do anything wrong. You're just too sensitive." They don't want discussion. They don't want reflection. They want to shut you down, blame you, or guilt trip you for even speaking up. That's not strength. That's fear. A truly confident person listens, reflects, and even apologizes when needed. But to a narcissist, anything less than admiration is a threat that must be silenced. I remember another time working with a colleague like this. He always wanted everyone to praise his ideas, but one day I said, "I think we need to tweak this plan a bit to make it more effective." He didn't just ignore the suggestion. He sent an email to the whole team implying I was sabotaging his project. Then he came to me and said, "You don't have to be so jealous of me." I wasn't jealous. I was just doing my job. But to him, any opinion that didn't align with his narrative felt like a personal attack. Here's what you need to understand. Their paranoia and defensiveness aren't signs of power or dominance. They're evidence that they're losing control. They can't handle the idea that you or anyone might see through their facade. And when they start acting like this, seeing threats in every direction, accusing everyone around them, building imaginary stories, that's when you know they're crumbling. But this is also your opportunity. You're not the villain for refusing to be their audience anymore. You're not at fault for choosing truth over illusion. The truth isn't meant to hurt them. It's meant to set you free. So what should you do when you see this sign? First, don't get pulled into their narrative. When they accuse you, don't rush to apologize or defend yourself. That only gives them more power. Instead, stay calm and say, "I'm not here to argue. I'm simply speaking my truth." Second, set clear boundaries. If they keep attacking, walk away, not because you're losing, but because you don't need to play their game. And finally, remind yourself this is not your fault. Their paranoia isn't caused by something you did wrong, it's caused by their inability to face who they really are. If you've seen this sign show up in your life, someone becoming suspicious of you, overly defensive just because you're no longer agreeing with them, drop a comment below. I see them unraveling. I'll be reading every comment and responding, because you're not alone. We're walking through this together. Sign 2. Uncontrollable emotional outbursts. When the perfect mask that a narcissist has built over the years starts to crack, they don't choose to sit down and reflect or try to fix their mistakes. Instead, they explode, and that is the second sign that they've reached their limit. Uncontrollable emotional outbursts. You'll see them shift from intense anger to sudden tears, from harsh accusations to pleading for forgiveness, all within minutes. But don't be mistaken, this is not a genuine breakdown for healing or an honest moment of awakening. This is their final weapon to keep you under control, to make you doubt yourself, and to bring you back to soothing them. Think about how they operate on normal days. For a long time they've relied on charm, sweet words, and subtle manipulation to get you to do what they want. They know how to smile at the right time, say the things you want to hear, and make you feel like they are the most important person in your life. But when you start setting boundaries, when you say no to their unreasonable demands, when you refuse to continue being the audience to their act, those tools no longer work. And when charm can no longer hold you, they switch to another tactic: emotional chaos. I've witnessed this too many times. An acquaintance of mine, someone I once thought was a friend, yelled in my face just because I didn't agree to a plan they wanted me to carry out immediately. They screamed, "You never support me, you're the most selfish person I've ever met." I stood there stunned because all I said was, "I need time to think," but less than an hour later they came back, hugged me and cried, "I'm sorry, I don't want to lose you. You're the only one who understands me." Do you think that was sincerity? No. That was a calculated act to make me feel guilty, to make me come back and say, "It's okay, I understand." But I didn't. And that's when I realized this wasn't friendship. This was manipulation. These emotional outbursts are not random. They are designed to throw you off balance. Imagine you're trying to maintain a normal life, trying to work, take care of your family, or simply enjoy a peaceful day. Then suddenly they come in and disrupt everything. One minute they're shouting, blaming you for everything, from small mistakes like forgetting to call them, to bigger accusations like "you never care about me." The next minute they collapse, crying, begging you to stay, saying they can't live without you. They want you to feel like you're the only one who can fix them, that if you leave they will completely fall apart. But here is the truth I want you to remember. They're not crying because they love you. They're crying because they're losing control of you. Have you ever been in this situation? Maybe an ex once yelled at you when you didn't do what they wanted, then immediately got down on their knees and begged you not to leave. Maybe a family member turned a small argument into a full-blown battle, only to later say they just wanted the best for you. That's how they operate when they feel their power is being threatened. They know that if they can make you afraid that they might do something worse or make you feel guilty, as if you were the one who pushed them to the edge, then you'll stay. You'll go back to comforting them, apologizing to them, even though you did nothing wrong. I remember another story from a friend of mine. She used to date someone who exploded every time she spent time with friends instead of him. One time he slammed the table and yelled, "You don't respect me. Do you think I'm a joke?" She was scared, tried to explain, but he wouldn't listen. Then, just a few hours later, he called, crying, "I'm sorry, I'm just afraid of losing you. You're everything to me." She felt bad, thought she had been too harsh, and went back to comfort him. But the next week it happened again, like a never-ending cycle. Eventually she realized this wasn't love. This was a tactic to keep her within his control. Here's what's important. These emotional outbursts are not signs of deep hurt or a desire to change. They are signs of desperation. A person who truly wants to heal will try to listen to you, take responsibility for their actions, and try to repair instead of destroy. But with a narcissist, they don't care about repair. They only care about keeping you under their control. When they yell, they want you to be afraid. When they cry, they want you to feel guilty. It's all for one purpose: to make you doubt yourself, to make you believe you have to stay, to help them. So what should you do when faced with these outbursts? First, don't get dragged into their drama. When they yell, don't argue back. That only gives them more fuel. Instead, stay calm and say, "I'm not here to fight with you." If they cry and beg, don't rush to comfort them. Ask yourself, do they really want to change, or do they just want me to stay? Second, set firm boundaries. Tell them, "I won't continue this conversation if you can't," and if they don't stop, walk away, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Third, remember, you are not their peacemaker. They can manage their own emotions. You are not responsible for the chaos they create. When you see this sign, sudden anger, unexplained tears, exhausting drama, that's when you know they're losing control. But it's also when you can reclaim your power. You don't have to keep being the audience for their performances. Step out of that cycle, stay grounded in your calm, and remember that your peace matters more than their chaos. If you've ever been pulled into emotional outbursts like this, leave a comment. I choose peace. Together we'll rebuild from here, one step at a time. Sign 3. Desperate attempts to regain control. When everything starts slipping from their hands, when charm no longer works, when emotional outbursts don't keep you, the narcissist moves on to the third sign. Desperate attempts to regain control. This is when you see them throw out every tactic they have, from harsh accusations to sweet apologies, from cold silence meant to punish you to promises of change they'll never keep. But don't be fooled. This is not a sign of maturity, not a moment of true self-reflection. This is their final battle to keep you within reach, to ensure that you don't step away from the role they've assigned you in their life. Control is not just a part of their personality, it's what defines them. They've built their entire life around manipulating your thoughts, emotions, and actions. They need you to believe that they are the center of everything, that you can't live without them, that you must comply with them to keep the peace. But when you start questioning the way they treat you, when you say no to their unreasonable demands, when you refuse to keep serving their ego, I once worked with a colleague like that. He always wanted me to agree with all his ideas, but one day I said, I don't think this plan will work, we need to reconsider. He didn't just refuse to listen, he yelled, you have no right to tell me what to do. But when he saw that I didn't back down, he came back the next day, speaking gently, I'm sorry, I was just stressed. You know, I always respect you. That wasn't remorse, it was an effort to pull me back in. They will try everything to keep you under control. One day they might yell at you, accuse you of betrayal, say you're disloyal, that you're not worthy of them, all just to scare you and make you come back to apologize. When that doesn't work, they change tactics. They become the victim. They cry, talk about their struggles, say they only acted that way because they love you so much, because they don't want to lose you. They may say things like, I know I was wrong, please give me a chance to prove it. But take a closer look at what happens next. Do they truly change? Or do they return to the same behavior a few days later, controlling, demanding, and manipulating? I've seen this in a friend's relationship. She was dating someone who tried to control every minute of her day, from where she went to who she talked to. One time she decided to spend an evening with her friends instead of him. He went crazy, calling non-stop, sending messages saying, you don't care about me, you just want to hurt me. She stood her ground and didn't reply. The next day he showed up at her door with flowers and tears. I'm sorry, I'm just afraid of losing you. I'll change. She believed him, but just a week later he was demanding she report all her activities again. That's not love, that's desperation to keep her within his grasp. They may even use promises to make you stay. They say they'll go to therapy, that they'll listen to you more, that they'll become a better person. But here's what you need to realize, those promises are rarely fulfilled. With a narcissist, everything they say and do revolves around themselves, their pain, their needs, their desire to keep you as a source of admiration and attention. Real change doesn't require you to stand there and witness it. It happens because they genuinely want to be better for themselves. But with a narcissist, you are the audience they need to keep their performance going. If you walk away, the show collapses. Do you recognize these cycles in your life? One day they attack you, the next they apologize and make promises, then the following day they return to demands and control. I was once caught in that cycle with a family member. They yelled when I didn't do what they wanted, then called crying, saying, I just want what's best for you. But the next week, they demanded I put them above everything else in my life. Eventually, I realized this wasn't care, it was an effort to keep me in the role they had chosen for me. When they act this way, it's a sign they are desperate. They don't want to lose you because they love you, they want to keep you because you're their lifeline, the one who sustains the image they've built. But you don't exist to serve them. You are not responsible for their happiness or stability. When they begin these desperate attempts, that's when you know they're losing control, and that's also when you can reclaim your own power. So what should you do? First, don't believe empty promises. Look at their actions, not their words. Are they truly changing or just playing a new role? Second, don't get pulled into their drama. When they attack, don't argue. Say, I'm not here to fight. When they apologize, don't rush to accept. Wait and see if they follow through. Third, set clear and firm boundaries. Tell them, I won't continue if you don't respect me. And if they can't do that, walk away. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Finally, remind yourself, you are not their puppet. You have the right to live your own life, not the life they want you to live. If you've ever been caught in these cycles, the accusations, the apologies, then the control again, share your story in the comments. I've cut the strings. I'm here to listen and support you. You deserve freedom, and we will move forward from here together. 4. Isolation and losing their audience. When a narcissist reaches their limit, one of the clearest signs is increasing isolation. The fourth sign. This is when they start losing the people who used to be around them. Friends stop replying to messages, family keeps their distance, colleagues avoid them. This is not a conspiracy against them, not a betrayal by those who once loved them. This is a natural result when people realize that the relationship was never truly a connection, it was just a tool to serve their ego. They've spent their whole life building a crowd around them. They attract friends with sweet words, keep family close by demanding loyalty, and gain admiration from colleagues through impressive performances. But all those relationships have one thing in common. They are one-sided. They take attention, admiration, and service from you, but rarely give anything back. I once had a relative like that. They constantly demanded my time, my listening, my support, but when I needed them, they were busy or indifferent. For years, I thought it was normal, until I realized I wasn't their family. I was a source of attention they needed to feel important. When the truth comes out, when people begin to see that they're not genuinely loved or respected but simply used, they leave. Not with grand accusations or dramatic arguments. They leave quietly because they're too tired to continue. I remember a friend telling me about her boss, someone who constantly demanded admiration from the whole team. He would regularly brag about his accomplishments, demand praise, but never acknowledged anyone else's efforts. One day, the team began avoiding him, not replying to emails, not joining unnecessary conversations. He wasn't fired, but he was isolated, not because anyone hated him, but because no one had the energy to keep clapping for him. But narcissists don't see this isolation as their fault. They don't sit down and ask themselves, what did I do to make everyone leave? Instead, they blame everyone else. They say their friends are fake, their family is selfish, their colleagues are jealous of their success. They build a story in their mind that they're the victim of injustice, that they're so amazing others can't handle them. But the truth is much simpler. People leave because they're tired of being used, manipulated, and demanded from without receiving anything in return. This is not punishment. This is the natural consequence of building a life on pretense instead of sincerity. I've seen this in my own life. A former friend of mine always wanted me to be available all the time, calling for hours, asking for help, but never asking how I felt. When I started setting boundaries, when I said, I need time for myself, she didn't accept it. She accused me of being disloyal, said I had changed, that I no longer cared about her, but when I stood firm, she gradually lost contact, not just with me, but with many others as well. Eventually, she became isolated, not because I or anyone wanted to hurt her, but because she couldn't maintain any relationship without controlling others. When they lose their audience, that's when they must face themselves. And that's what they fear most. They've spent their entire life avoiding the mirror, avoiding the question, who am I without applause? For some, this isolation makes them more bitter. They blame the world, look for new people to manipulate, try to rebuild their audience. But for others, though rarely, this can be a chance to awaken, to realize they cannot keep living this way. Either way, it's a clear sign they are losing control, and you are not responsible for staying to save them. So what should you do when you see this sign? First, don't feel guilty for walking away. If you've withdrawn from a relationship with them, that's not selfishness, it's self-protection. Second, don't try to pull them back. They may beg you to stay, say they need you, but you are not responsible for their loneliness. They created it themselves. Third, focus on building real relationships in your own life, ones based on mutual respect, not control. Lastly, remember, their isolation is not your problem. They had the chance to change, and they chose not to. If you've ever seen someone in your life slowly lose everyone but still refuse to look inward, leave a comment. I stepped away. I'm proud of you for choosing to walk away from being an audience member in their life. Let them face the truth. It may be their only chance to change. Sign 5. The mask slips. And now we come to the final sign, the most defining moment when a narcissist reaches their limit. The mask slips. This is when they can no longer maintain the facade they've built for years. No more sweet words, no more surface-level charm, no more roles they've played to make you believe they're someone special. You will see their true self. And it's not the image of strength, confidence, or superiority they've always tried to portray. It is an empty, lost person who has run from the truth of who they are for so long that they no longer know who they are without someone to manipulate. They've lived their entire life relying on admiration and control. They need you to believe that they are the center of everything, that they are smarter, better, more important than anyone else. For years, they've succeeded in making you and others see them through the lens they created. They know how to smile at the right moment, say the things that make you feel special, and make you think they are someone irreplaceable. But when everything collapses, when you start setting boundaries, when others walk away, when manipulation no longer works, that mask can't hold anymore. I once thought someone I knew was the strongest person I'd ever met, always confident, always in control of every situation. But one day, when I refused to go along with what they wanted, when I said, I won't continue if you don't respect me, I saw them fall apart. They didn't know what to do when there was no one left to perform for. They screamed, then fell silent, then tried to apologize, but all of it was clumsy, insincere. When the mask falls, you'll see contradictions in them. They may say they love you, but their actions show selfishness. They may say they want to change, but do nothing to prove it. I remember working with someone who always bragged about their professionalism, but when the team started ignoring him, not out of hatred but exhaustion, he became chaotic. One day he yelled at us, the next he tried to apologize, but the apology wasn't sincere, it was just another attempt. That's when I realized he wasn't strong, he was just good at pretending. This is when the truth is revealed. They are not who you thought they were. You may have believed they loved you, that they cared about you, that they were someone special you couldn't live without. But when the mask slips, you see it was all a performance to keep you within reach, to make you serve them. For some, this moment drives them into even more desperation. They try to rebuild the mask, deny everything, blame you, or seek out a new audience to manipulate. But for others, though rare, this may be the starting point for change, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice when everyone else has walked away. Have you ever witnessed this moment? Maybe an ex who made you believe they were everything until you saw them fall apart when you left. Maybe a friend who always appeared perfect but became lost when no one was watching. When the mask slips, that's when you must make a choice. Continue helping them rebuild the facade, believing in new promises, excusing old mistakes, or walk away and start healing yourself. I was once in that situation. A former friend begged me to stay after I discovered they had lied to me many times. They cried and said, I will change, please trust me one more time. I wanted to believe them. Who doesn't want to believe in someone they once loved? But I realized, if I stayed, I'd only keep being an audience member, not a true friend. Here's what I want you to understand. The truth is not your enemy, it's your best ally. When the mask slips, you have the chance to see clearly who they are, and more importantly, who you are. You don't have to keep living in the fake world they created. You have the right to rebuild your life on honesty, on real values, not on their lies. This is not the end, this is the beginning of your freedom. So what should you do when the mask slips? First, Don't try to save them. They may beg you to stay, but you're not responsible for fixing them. They must do that themselves. Second, trust what you see. Don't let them convince you that you misunderstood. Their actions tell the truth. Third, take time to heal. Leaving a relationship with a narcissist is not easy. It leaves wounds, but you can overcome them by focusing on yourself. Finally, remember, you deserve real relationships, not performances. Write in the comments, "I see the truth," and if you're ready, share your story. When did you see the mask slip, and what did you do afterward? I'm here to listen and walk with you. We're not stopping here, we move forward together. We've been on a long journey today, a journey that wasn't easy, but necessary. We've explored the 5 signs that a narcissist is reaching their limit, the paranoia and defensiveness when they can't handle the truth from you, the uncontrollable emotional outbursts to keep you within reach, the desperate attempt to regain control when you begin to break free, the isolation as people walk away because they can no longer tolerate them, and finally, the moment the mask slips, revealing who they truly are, not the strong person you once thought, but someone lost and empty. But this isn't just a story about their collapse. This is a story about how you rise, reclaim your life, and step out of the darkness they pulled you into. Narcissistic abuse is not about them, it's about you. It's about how they made you doubt yourself, made you feel like you weren't enough, made you think you had to stay just to keep them happy. But today I want you to understand an important truth. They may never change, but you can. And that change begins now, by recognizing these signs, understanding how they operate, and refusing to keep being the audience to their performance. You are not alone in this. Millions of people around the world have been in your place, feeling trapped, manipulated, wounded, but they found a way out. And you can too. You deserve peace, not the fake peace they promise when you comply, but real peace that comes from living true to yourself. You deserve honesty, not the lies they use to keep you, but the honesty that comes from people who truly love and respect you. And you deserve a life not imprisoned by someone else's ego, a life where you are free to be yourself, not the person they want you to be. If this video speaks to you, if you see these signs in your life, if you feel ready to move forward, do this now. Hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next content. We still have so much more to talk about healing, rebuilding, and living a life free from narcissistic abuse. Share this video with anyone in your life who needs light, a friend, a family member, anyone who's struggling to break free. And leave a comment below. I choose freedom. I will read every comment, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue rebuilding from the pieces. Before you go, I want you to remember this. You are stronger than they made you believe. You are not their victim, you are a survivor, and more than that, you are a victor. Walk in the light, you deserve it. I'll see you again soon.